Good evening, guys. This is Belfast Boxing and Blues, your one stop shop for all things boxing related and also all things blues related. Yeah, I've been doing some music, sort of videos, little breakdowns of songs and things, and I did one earlier on. It was more like an instructional, um, rather than specific techniques. It was just talking about concepts, different ideas, different ways of approaching uh, playing music, especially when it comes to soloing and stuff like that. Um, and I was looking at these videos and the titles of these videos, and if you look at most musical instruction videos on YouTube, it's like, 3 ways to, learn how to sweep pick, diminished chords. You've come to the right place. Stuff like that. I'm not really into that. I feel this is I feel this is like an underground channel, you know what I mean? Like, it's, if you know, you know. And not that many people know, as it turns out. But you know what, I'm cool with that, man. I'm cool with that. Because the real good stuff, the underground knowledge, it's not supposed to be for everybody, sure it's not. So, I mean, like I say, this is how I justify the declining popularity of this weeks old YouTube channel. But yeah, guys, I mean, I just caught up on the Haney Garcia press conference, the one that took place in LA, and wow, it was really something. I mean, you got to see Devin Haney really step up. He really stepped. He really assumed the Wesley Snipes in Blade role. He really felt like he was channeling him. Um, like, again, he had the glasses on and stuff, and he just. It was an amazing transformation to see him talk like that. He was right on his game. And Ryan, I don't know what they've got in that Peruvian hair powder, but it's certainly seems to be working for him. And yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that. Holy Jesus, what's that? I think it's fair to say that that Devin Haney, got the better of him. So what's going on here? Why am I? No, yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, 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 yes, yes. I was just checking my emails there. Don't know why. So yeah, I mean, look, I suppose that, like, the main talking point is sort of the state of Ryan Garcia. He wasn't in good shape, and whilst it was very entertaining, and it was kind of tragic too in a way. And he's the sort of character, he's the sort of guy where you think you don't really have much sympathy for him, you know. And of course, most of us, like, it is kind of funny. Like, he's coked out of it, and he hasn't had a line for half an hour or an hour, so he's starting to he's starting to wilt. You can tell from his eyes and the way he keeps going and stuff like that. Now, again, that's what people are saying. I don't know if that's really true. Um, who knows? But he was up and he was talking, and he was at the what do they call that middle thing? The dais, something like that, isn't it? And Devin shouts up, "What's wrong with your voice, bro?" And he was like, "Oh, nothing. I have a cold." He says, "No, I've been screaming for these promos," and he says, "No, you're on the coke, man. You're on the coke. You have. What are you doing? You know what I mean?" And then he sort of tried to explain it. He says, "No, I don't do coke. I don't do coke." Even at one point in the press conference, he was saying, "It only looks like I'm on coke because I've been drinking black coffees all day." So that sort of made it all the more suspicious, didn't it? And what I mean, you know, Devin Heaney made a good point in that. Like, there's kids watching, and you and me are the role models here. Devin and Ryan. So you can't be talking about, "Oh, I've been drinking this and I've been smoking this weed and stuff like that." What kind of example are you setting? And I mean, I suppose it's all the more fitting that it's coming off tragic because hopefully any youngsters coming up watching him will go, nah, I don't want to be like that guy, you know. And Devin's a clean living guy, as far as we know, and he certainly comes across that way. I thought it was interesting too when he was up speaking. I tuned out a little bit. I was whatever I was doing. I was in the kitchen or something, but I could hear that he was stuttering on the mic. He was getting very excited, and different people were talking and stuff, and he was sort of stuttering. He was starting to stutter his voice a bit, and his dad, Bill Haney, was shouting up, slow down, son, slow down, Um, and he eventually chilled out, and he was. It was good to see in a way how well Devon came into it. And like kind of what I find to be a little bit disturbing, right? I mean, just a little bit sickening. And I could be reading into it too much, but you've got that kid there who's out of his mind, out of his face, right? And he's supposedly, he has a cocaine problem. Let's imagine that's the case. Um, Oscar De La Hoya and that guy standing beside him didn't seem overly concerned that he was in some kind of danger. Like you could say that maybe that Oscar De La Hoya was glad that it wasn't him that was in it. It was somebody else. Yeah, he's like, I've cleaned up my act. You sort your own out. And this is the thing about it. You have to when you if you're caught up and stuff like that, you have to sort yourself out. The buck ultimately stops with you. And it was kind of sad to see because it seemed to me like, and again, could be reading into too much, but it seemed to me like these guys were laughing to each other. They were laughing it up. They were lapping it up. They were saying, look, this is great for our promotion. Forget that this kid here is dying of addiction, and his life's a wreck. At one point there's somebody shouted at him from the crowd, and he threatened him. He says, how about I go up there and, knock you out and stuff. And as soon as that happened, what's the trainer's name? The guy who trained AJ, Charlo twins, and all those guys. Derek, somebody was not Derek, is it? Anyway, his trainer sort of got right in and whispered in his ear and got him to chill out. You know what I mean? And of course, that again would make you think, yeah, that he was on something there. He certainly seemed, and the fact that he's coming to this press conference and he's going out like that, it's like, mate, you know what I mean? You have to keep yourself together if you're going to be at something like that. Now, I can relate to Ryan a lot for a few different reasons. I mean, one being that we're both pretty boys, and don't know if I'm quite as pretty as Ryan, but uh, if you're a pretty boy and you like to have a bit of a scrap, then you kind of have a bit of a dilemma there because people will always underestimate you and think, and especially too if in your character and how you come across, if you're quite a genial sort of friendly, non-intimidating, non-confrontational sort of guy, a lot of times people can take you. They might initially, before they get to know you, they think you're a sap, and so they think they can try it on with you and stuff. That was a lot of times that was the reason why I get into fights when I was younger, and on a lot of occasions I was sticking up for myself, but I think it's better to have somebody with a clear mind and whatever issues are there to be able to resolve them so that when little confrontations like that happen, they're well placed to, they know how to handle it, so it doesn't have to come down to, fighting and stuff like that. And the other reason I can relate to, of course, he's had his mental health troubles in the past, and you could see whenever Devin was really getting on top of him, like he went onto his phone and stuff, he didn't even reply, and it suddenly went from this guy from the last press conference and the Ariel interview and stuff on the MMAR, with this aggressive, ultra confident guy. Suddenly you could see he was sort of slumped in his chair and he looked a little lost. I felt sorry for him, I really did, and you know, I know what that feels like, you know, and I know what it feels like too to be in deep trouble and to feel lost, drug issues, mental health, and seemingly there's not a lot that anybody else can do for you. Yeah, it's a difficult situation, and of course, more specifically with cocaine, if indeed that was what was going on there, um, you know, up until very recently, really, I had a big issue with cocaine personally, you know, and you know, I would go out to public events and stuff, you know, nights out with gigs, but places where I knew I would be meeting people, and I would regularly go out full of cocaine, you know. Obviously, people knew, you know what I mean, and sometimes it was more scandalous than others. Not that I was particularly misbehaving in any way, because I would keep myself relatively sweet, but there was no reason for somebody, you know, everybody else was just having a few drinks. And even if there was somebody that was on the bag, as they say, they would be having a little line, a little tiny bump. I was shoving it into me, and I was completely full up on this stuff. And I think it was more scandalous when I was going to a gig, say, with friends that weren't really involved in that drug culture and drug circles, and I was out with them completely off it. You know, I feel real horrible with that looking back. You know, I feel embarrassed, you know, for one thing, but I also feel bad that it's the wrong thing to do. But I mean, that's addiction, you know, that the addiction makes you go ahead and do that when it's going to lead to the most stupid, the worst possible outcome. Yet you will go and do that just because you want to taste this stuff on your nose. You know, there's a psychological thing there that's making you do it. You know, and if you have a very addictive personality and you have developed an addiction to cocaine, you know, you will keep doing it. You will keep going back and keep going back. You know, forget eating. You know, forget saving money for this or saving money for that. No, cocaine, cocaine. And a lot of times, I mean, the recent times when I had trouble with it, when I was really using it very, very regularly, you know, not just, you know, once at the weekends, you know, I had been going through some trouble in my personal life, and it's a bit strange when I think about it. I'm going to share this on YouTube. I don't know who will see it, you know, people that I know personally, but I don't really care, because I think it's important to share this stuff that'll benefit me, and hopefully it'll benefit somebody else if they hear it. Like, all I can say is I'm happy that I've so far, you know, touched with, I'm out of that. You know, it's for me. I'll be 8 weeks clean and sober on Monday, and I'm going really good. I'm enjoying my life, you know, and it's day and night from being caught up in that cocaine stuff, you know. And like I say, you can look at somebody and go, oh, they're a greedy bastard. They just want to party all the time. Yeah, there is an element of that. There's the selfishness is the core sort of thing of addiction, self-centeredness. Yeah, it's something that you learn when you go through these programs and these support groups and stuff. It's all about self-centeredness, you know. And people who are addicts, you know, that's their nature really. Um, if they leave their addiction to be untreated, then self-centeredness will always be their go-to thing. So there is a greed element, and you can judge it like that, but you have to look sometimes too. What is it that person's trying to get away from? You know what I mean? What is it that that person should be dealing with in their life, and they're using this incredibly toxic way to deal with it? You know, are they going out because they're looking to have a grand party and fly about all night, or is that the reality of it? Is there something else going on there? And sometimes even the person in question can't tell that themselves. But it is a bit of a downer, isn't it? Like, I mean, I kind of planned to come on and, you know, have a bit of a laugh and talk about this and talk about that, but you know what? The more I thought about it, I thought, nah, it's kind of sad, man. And I wouldn't feel right coming on and laughing at the guy, Ryan Garcia, you know, uh, in that situation where he was then, you know. God knows. Hopefully he gets himself cleaned up and stuff, and in time for the fight, and he can get off it, and and of course, the public are sort of, public opinion can be very cruel, especially when somebody sets them up. So somebody sets themselves up to be so much, and promotes himself and all of this stuff, which again is probably another branch of his, inner insecurity or whatever it is that is a part of his makeup, and there's something fragmented there or fractured. It's not quite what it should be. You look at Devin Haney there. He mightn't be the most confident. He mightn't be the best talker, but there's a wholesomeness and there's a solid security there in him, and that seems like it's been fostered along with his father, who has devoted his life to his son's career and bringing him up. You can see that there in his behaviour. And Ryan Garcia, he just, I I know a few people that are like addicts and stuff like that, and I just, I know that, I know what that is. You know what I mean? Again, I could be wrong. That's just the way I'm seeing it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to sound like I know everything. It might seem like that sometimes, but yeah. So I don't know, man. I mean, he had the dancing girls and everything come on. It was kind of bizarre, wasn't it, at the start? Like I say, there was the back and forth, and there was a little part of me that thought, is some of this somewhat engineered? But no, maybe it was. Maybe I've just been triggered by it. But to me, it seemed like, oh shit, this guy's in real trouble here. This kid's in real fucking trouble. Um, I feel for him. I don't know him. He's just a guy on the TV. You know what I mean? He's just a boxer, but I can relate. I can relate to his situation a little bit. Um, I imagine being all up in that, uh, showbiz thing, and you're surrounded by yes men, and God knows what kind of product they're getting over there. I'm sure it's much better than the stuff that would be available to us guys over here. Um, I don't want to glorify it or anything at all, but at the same time, I don't want to act like I took cocaine and I didn't enjoy it. Of course I did. It's pleasurable, it's good fun, but ultimately, it's dangerous. It'll rot away the inside of your nose. It'll rot your brain. It'll rot your lungs. Listen to that man's voice. It'll rot your. I was breathing heavy, for months, wheezing like that all the time. I wouldn't be. If I walked up the stairs, I would be like that. You know what I mean? Completely knackered from the stuff. It's no good, man. It's no good. Like, yeah, I'm sure there's people that can do it and have a wee laugh and have a bit of crack. Um, yeah, great. Have a good time. You know what I mean. But there are the sort of exceptions every once in a while. I mean, not all that seldom, where there's somebody that's like just, oh wait, his life is in turmoil. That kid needs help. That boy needs therapy. So here, I hope he gets it. But Devin Haney says, "Look, are you gonna turn up for the fight? Are we gonna?" He named the guy. They had a stand-in guy already prepared. Are you gonna turn up for the fight? Tell you what, I know it's 10 weeks out or something now, but it's not looking too good for him. It's like, unless he's just been on a mad binge and he can step right off it. But to me, from what I can gather, which might be unfair to judge it basically on me having seen a few press conferences. Like I say, I don't know this guy. I'm not in his life, obviously, but that's just sort of how it comes across to me. Could be reading too much into it, but that's how it comes across to me. And yeah, like I say, guys, a bit of a downer. Not exactly what you want to be hearing on your Friday evening, but you know what? If you see this video, then you're seeing it for a reason, aren't you? Like George Grove says. So here, have a good weekend anyway, guys, and keep it clean.